Dain did my bars at one time, and I got up off the couch, up off the table, and I sat down on the couch, and I went, oh my God. I didn't realize that people could not walk, talk, and chew gum without a judgment. They have to use a judgment to accomplish everything in life. I didn't know it had to be that way. And that was a revelation of magnitude for me. But Dain has been good at giving me revelatory realities.
I like that, revelatory realities.
You're a revelationist. Not a revolutionist, a revelationist.
Right. Let me just say that bars quite literally saved my life over 20 years ago now. I was at a place where I literally had planned a date to end my life, and I had given up hope for the first time in my time on this planet. I was 30 years old, and I had been unhappy for the better part of 3 years. I had been trying everything to change my life, going to workshops, etc. And I'd finally given up hope that that was going to happen. And so I set a date to end my life. I was done. And I thought I was going to get out. Well, the universe apparently had different plans. I saw this little ad that said, access, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Call Shannon. Boy, did that ad piss me off. It's like my life is pain, suffering, and gory. You have no idea what my life is like. But I saw the ad the following week in the paper, and I learned long before that if you love something or hate it, there's something there for you. And so I called, and I said, what do you do? And she said, this thing called the bars. And I was like, what's that? She said, at the worst, you feel like you had a good massage. At the best, your whole life can change. And in my head, I was going, my whole life better change or I'm killing myself. What the heck do I have to lose? And so I go into the session depressed and suicidal, desiring to die and knowing that I'm planning on it. And an hour and 15 minutes later, this gratitude for being alive that transformed my whole sense of being alive. But it let me know that all the hopes and dreams I'd had for the possibilities for what I wanted to live and create were actually available and possible. Like, if I could change this fast, then everything else might be possible too. Started me on a journey of exploring truly what else is possible. And that's why I'm in front of you right now instead of dead. But that's not to say that that's what happens for everybody. I know some people hear my story and they go, well, I didn't get what he got. Well, nobody can get what somebody else gets. You can only get what you do. But one of the things that can be really helpful to recognize is what you get from bars is not about what you feel. It's about what you get to be, which actually has no feeling to it or goes beyond feeling. And so what it does is it changes the sense of walls and barriers needing to be there to protect you from the world. It often changes how you will interact with people and pets and plants and the earth and the sun and the sky, where you walk around less barriered, less protected. But that's not so much of a feeling. That's more of a space of being that you get to be and that you get to access. And so if we don't make it about the feeling, then we can be present for whatever we're truly receiving that goes beyond feelings. Because we're jaded in our feelings. We believe that this feels this way. You know, true receiving has a feeling to it, but it actually doesn't. And true, like when I'm truly being me, one of the points of view I used to have forever was when I'm being me, I feel this way. And it was sort of like, I'm ready, I'm happy, I'm abundant, I'm joyful, I'm like, and it would, this is me being me. And so whenever I wasn't feeling like that, I thought I wasn't being me. And it took me a very long time to realize, and a wonderful conversation with my friend Gary Douglas, where I was very cranky, and I asked him for help, and we started using some of the access tools. And about 45 minutes in, he said, how are you doing? And I said, I don't know. I'm like, I don't really feel like anything. I don't feel really happy. I don't feel really sad. And for me, that was the death knell. That was something I hated more than anything else, is not feeling, not knowing how I was based on how I felt. And I said that, and he went, well, that's exactly where you want to be. I'm like, not happy, not sad, and I feel blank. He's like, yeah. When you're truly being you, it has no feeling to it. And my eyes got really wide, because he'd probably said that 100 or 1,000 times before, but I'd never even begun to hear it. But I heard it this time, and I went, oh my goodness. My entire life, I have thought that I wasn't being me when I had no thoughts in my head, when I had no force in my world. I thought I was basically ceasing to exist. And in that moment, I realized that's when I was actually being me. And every time I would get there to being me, I would try to do something to get out of it, to have more feeling, because I had decided and misidentified that when I had no feeling, I wasn't being. So I just say that as perhaps a future acknowledgement for people, that it's when you get to that space of just having and being space, where you don't really have a feeling there, that's when you're truly being you. And people think, oh, well, that's so boring, or that's so non-exciting. But in actuality, what I've learned is from that space, that's where all the enthusiasm can well up in a moment. That's where the gratitude can be off the charts just instantaneously. And all through it, you still have you.
Untitled.
The first time I got my bars done, I didn't feel a thing. I'd been going through a tough time, and I really just wanted things to change, and that's all I was asking for. And I didn't feel anything. And about 6 months after that, I got my bars done once, and I was like, oh, great. I like my bars done. Can I come tomorrow and get my bars done? And that person was like, okay. And so I went and got my bars done a second time on that day, the second day. And then again a third day, and a fourth day, and a fifth day. And the change was so much. Before I had my bars done, I was actually agoraphobic. I couldn't leave my house for 6 months at a time. And after those 5 days of getting my bars done consecutively, I couldn't sit still at home. My mother was shocked. And life has not been the same since then. How does it get better than this? And how did I get so lucky to find the bars?
My favorite story, and it's really interesting because it's a person who I've known all my life, and when I started doing this weird, wacky stuff called Access Bars, she came to have a session with me. And she'd had some tragedies with, actually had a husband pass, and just some real tragedies in her life. And all she really wanted in her life was to have a wonderful relationship with a man and have a family that was not abusive or not tragic. And she'd had both, because she'd had 2 husbands. One tragic, one abusive. Okay, that's minimum. And so I just okay, and I just ran her bars.
This woman had a traumatic brain injury, and she looked up brain reboot online, and the bars came up. I was like, this is perfect. So she came to me for her first session, and she received so much. A couple days before her session, she had gone cliff diving and landed not ideally. And she showed me pictures of what had happened after the session. So she sent me a picture of her thigh, and it was like huge purple and black bruise.
And then what I heard is she actually got sick, went into the hospital, had something go on with her for a few days, met this man who was a doctor in the hospital while she was in the hospital, He figured out what was going on with her. They liked each other so much, they ended up getting married, and basically she has the life she dreamed of. They've been happily married for, I think, over 10 years now, and travel, and his work, and they live in 2 different states.
And she also sent me a picture of like 3 days after the session, and she said, "Oh my God, this is so amazing. You're amazing." And her thigh, you know when a bruise is healing and it goes through all the colors of the rainbow? When it gets to like almost done, it's yellow. The same area on her thigh was like almost all clear and little patches of yellow. And she said, "Thank you so much for doing this to me." And I was like, "I didn't do it to you. That was the magic that you and your body has to heal you." But she said that the doctors told her it would take like 3 to 4 weeks for this bruise to heal, and it healed in like 3 to 4 days.
And when I did have the guts, and I called her one day, and I said, "So, what did you think about that session I did on you?" And she said to me, "Oh my gosh, I think it contributed to me changing my whole life." And I'm thinking in my head, "And you didn't tell me this for what reason?" I went, "Really?" And she goes, "Oh yes, Curry, I really get that stuff you did contributed to me changing my whole life."
Teaching the Access Consciousness bars to people, it's so fun. It's really fun. It's one day of joy, laughter, and as well like silence and peace. And it's really like, you give a new tools with this manual to people that sometimes never heard about Access before. Sometimes they come and they have done other bars classes already. But then every time, you take a bars class with a new facilitator, it's a new experience. I do as well. I love being in a bars class. I so love it. Like in one day, you have 2 sessions that you gift and 2 sessions that you receive. You meet other people. And for me, as a facilitator, it's beautiful seeing how people get into the class in the morning with, they're like all the, and then they leave in the late afternoon, like with this, like floating around, no longer dragging, but floating around. And yeah, it's really beautiful.
My first bar session was in Copenhagen with my friend who was working with me at the same company. So after work day, I was just laying in the bed and I just slept, really like deep sleep. And when I woke up, then I didn't even realize that something had changed, but definitely something changed. And later, after bars class, when I was laying down, after class was like, oh, I'm existing. I have choices now. I can do whatever. This sense of freedom and sense of peace and sense of joy, undescribable. At the end of summer, we thought that, okay, we have the suicide prevention month, September. What can we be for the world? What can we really be? We talk a lot, but we can really do something different here. We do offer bars for people a lot here in Estonia, but how can we do it like visible? So we took it really big. Okay, let's do it this 1,000, because the idea of 1,000 bars was crazy enough to not do it, you know, because if things are crazy and big enough, then I'm excited. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. So I was asking people around in Estonia, practitioners or facilitators who are with me, because I really know that this can be something I start who is with me. And there was a lot, it was more than 70 practitioners, and 70 included like practitioners who was, okay, let's do it. They do it privately at home, they do it in kindergartens, they did it in schools, everywhere during the whole month. And what was the most fun part, every end of the day, we had like calculator, we calculated all our sessions we have done in one like number, and we just published that every evening. It came to all social media, all lists went out. We have done like 700 already, or like 900 already. And definitely people was like, oh, I see your like numbers, you do free, can like enjoy. And very funny part was that second half of the month in September, the interest of people it increased a lot. So we got a lot of phone calls, a lot of like messages, can I still come, where I can come, what can we do? And we did also like separate days, like full days, where like 10, 15 people in different cities was offering bars. So it was really different ways we did separately at home, big events, many different things all over Estonia. We had always like this small feedback leaflets they needed to fill in. So I had some questions there written up and printed. So they took pens and just answered those questions. And one of the questions was, why did you come to bars, to experience bars? Many people told, because my wife told me, I just was so curious. I just thought that why not, you know. A second question was that what was your experience? So many people, oh, totally relaxed. I don't feel anything. I was like, oh, total something different. Universe has changed. Many, so different feedback what they experienced. And the third question was, who do you suggest to experience bars? And the most funniest was there that one person was writing to government. Every government participant, every government person should have bars. Like, yeah, there was kids like, oh, all my parents need to have bars, like bars run. Yeah, everybody. There were so many suggestions. My friends, teachers. Everybody. It was really fun. So we ended up with 1,023 free bar sessions during September month. How does it get any better than that? Many people are saying that, how do you get so many people to do the same thing with you? Like, I always like, if I have something, I just like, and then everybody like, let's do it. Like, yeah, that's one phenomenon. What I'm really surprised that really often, maybe I do two crazy choices. And I don't know, it's fun for me. I don't wait for anybody. If you want to enjoy, I do it anyway. I never wait anybody. And they just want to be part, and that's cool. I'm so grateful for those people. I wish that everybody should want to do those things what I do. but I got so burned many times and so judged and everything. So I'm not asking anymore this thing like everybody, let's do everybody. Like I'm just now, okay, I want to work with you. If you want with me, good, great. If not, then okay. So this, and this, and then let's do it. So first thing I always ask people that if that bar session should change somebody's world, would you run somebody's bars? Definitely yes. Yeah. If you want better world, and if you don't even know how it will be created, would you still run bars, people's bars? They get information, they get awareness, right? But if I say to practitioners who come to my classes and people I know who know how to run bars, I should say, what is the one reason why not run bars? Why not? Because I don't find any reasons to not run bars. Because this is a luxury thing, really luxury thing. And why not allow my life to be luxury all the time? Be free, be happy, and be the gift for those people who really could be interested. There could be thousands of people out there who are looking for a possibility to change their lives and they haven't found yet. So why not to be really bold and speak out and just tell that, okay, here is the day, here is our possibility. I am here, I have two hands, I don't do anything special, I just put my hands on your head, that's it. And like Gary Douglas is saying, it can be a great head massage or your life can change. I should just say to all people who know how to run bars, if you people just acknowledge this tool is worth of billions. This tool is worth all future. This tool is worth all the possibilities we all know is possible. We just have to use it and run people's bars.
Every time I create a bars class or be invited to facilitate, I get so excited and I got something yummy to eat or drink, and then I print up beautiful menus and then just get so excited, who's coming, let's do it. It's like a great fun party, and then you don't need to think about anything, you just be very present and everything change in a way you never imagined that can. I love it.
Something huge changed after my first bars class. I mean, not after my first bars class, but after continuously running my bars, my financial reality, my money. Running the bars, having my bars run, changed my awareness and my reality with money. Big time. And a lot of things, there are a lot of other things, but this is a major thing that I've noticed. And my joy in life, and my joy in life, and my joy, more joy, more joy.
I know I need my bars run if I'm being pathetic.
mean, I always work a lot. And before the bars in my life was really like this constant fixing, stressing, running, debt, family, 2 dogs, and the house, and the kid, and everything. The trauma of family problem. That's one of the things that changed so much to me, was like the relationship now I have with my family that I didn't have before. Much ease, much joyful, no more of that stress. And at the same time, I was talking about the work. There was that always trying to run over, and with being afraid that sooner or later I will be crushed because I was stretching myself too much. I wasn't sleeping enough. I was working too much. Now with the bars, with an hour and a half of treatment, I can, do a marathon without any problem. There is a sense of creativity, the ease, a sense of, it's like all the little ideas, all the connection, right? All the little things and sparkly things that I could have in my head just take place without even forcing it anymore. And also, when you are that space of ease and relaxation, it's incredible how you surround yourself with the people that had the same demand and had the same ease and the same joy on be something different in the world and creating different businesses or actualizing different ideas with so much joy. So get your bars run.
Where should I start? It's like my body has changed, my business has changed, my money has changed, the people in my life has changed, but most important, I have changed. So I like me more than ever before, and like that's getting greater day by day. So yeah, I love Access Bars and I love the tools, and I would wish the whole world would know about it. Yeah.
So bars is interesting. The first time I ever got my bars run, I was actually hungover. And I was at this festival and I was walking past the Access Consciousness stand, and this lady said to me, "Would you like your bars run?" And she pointed at the massage table, and I just went, "Oh, massage table, I need to lie down, I'm hungover." So I lay down and this woman just put her hands on my head, like really gently. And within about 30 minutes, now, please, this doesn't have to occur for everybody. This was just what occurred for me. I was going through a lot of stuff at the time, like Access Consciousness literally showed up in my life when I really, really, really required it. I was a bit of a mess, and the image I was showing everybody was like, hey, I'm great, So I was on the massage table and it was like 30 minutes in and I just started crying, and she looked at me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I jumped off the table and I said, "You know what, I've got to go. And she's like, "Really?" She's like, "I haven't finished." And I was like, "I've got to go," because I was so uncomfortable with the level of vulnerability that was showing up for me with getting my bars run. And then Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, who I had only met once before. And when I'd met him before, like it was the previous day, he hugged me and he said to me, he said, "You'd be a lot better off if you're open to receiving." He said, "You'd have more money, you'd have more fun, your business would be better, etc." And I looked at him and just thought, "Oh, you're a crazy man. You've got no idea what's going on in my life right now." Like I said, I was a bit of a mess. And so I jumped off this table the next day getting my bars run, and I've got tears coming down my face, and he walks around the corner and he looks at me and he goes, He goes, "Do I have to give you another hug?" And I went, "No." And I was like, "Yes, no, I don't know." And he said to me, "Would you like to come outside and talk?" And I said, "No." And then I went, "Well, yes, I don't know." And I was so confused because this energy of what was being offered was everything that I actually knew was possible and what I was actually asking for. And then when it was here in front of me, I was like, what the hell do I do now? So anyway, short story, it is a short story. I went outside and I actually ended up talking to Gary, and I don't remember actually what he said, but I remember him asking me questions. And he just really patiently sat next to me and asked me questions about my life and different choices. And I do remember when we stood up at the end, it was like, because I had a stand there with my business, he said, where are you going? And if I had gone in this direction, that was more towards my business, my stand. And if I went in this direction, it was more where Access was. And I just looked at him and I went, I'm going where you're going. And I said, let's go there to Access. And he was like, okay. And he smiled. And here I am today, 21 years later.
And welcome back to Global Access Bars Day. For this next segment, we have Simone Milices, and she is joining us from Australia to talk about creating your future. And before we go live to Simone, I just want to say thank you all for being with us for the day and for our little technical hiccup where we restarted our stream. So thank you guys for being with us. And Simone, thank you for being with us. You got the floor.
Thank you so much, Emily. And thank you so much, everyone who's on there. I know you guys have just been absolutely brilliant. So Emily was meant to be interviewing me right now. So she's like, I'll send you the questions. Which was interesting. I'm like, welcome back, Simone Milices, Worldwide Business Coordinator of Access Consciousness, best-selling author and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, look, you've got me, and I get the theme here that I know that Em wanted to, and I'm so incredibly grateful for all of you guys. The theme here is, I guess, choosing and creating and asking for the future that you'd like to show up. And I see that it's really interesting to me because a lot of the times people will be like, you know, you've chosen this, and this. And it's like, how'd you choose that? Or etc. Using the Access Consciousness tools, like seriously, every single tool that I've ever resisted is the one that changed the most for me. Years ago, it's like, if you haven't seen it, there's a book that Gary and Dain wrote, and it's called Money Isn't the Problem, You Are, which I think that name is absolutely fabulous. Money's not the problem, you are. And I actually organized that event. It was in the Gold Coast, and it was 2 days, and I sat in the audience and was listening to them talk about these money tools and was like, oh, here we go again, these money tools, you know. And at that stage, I wasn't aware how in debt I was, but I knew I was in debt. I knew I was a little screwed up with money. And I finally sat in the audience and I went, you know what? What if I just gave some of these tools a go? What if I just started using some of these tools and see if something changes? And it did. My financial reality started to change within about 3 weeks, actually. This money showed up from the most random of places. And it took me about 2 years to get 187,000 Australian dollars out of debt. But my point here is, if you're resisting something, please have a look at it and choose it, because I don't know, it's like, it's what are you waiting for? It's like your entire life is here to live. This is not a test run. This is not a dummy run. It's like, let's go. And Access Consciousness truly matched everything that I was asking for. I mean, and I think that's how you create a future as well, is if you keep choosing what matches the energy of what it is that you're asking for. Like, I had a business way before Access, and it was about changing the world. I'd written this whole piece on vulnerability because to me, I was like, I don't get it. Why do people meet each other and they have these barriers up? What if they were just willing to be like, hi, And if you haven't noticed, I mean, if you've just tuned in or you haven't watched the whole Global Bars Day, please sit down and watch it at some point. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And the energy that is around the world right now is just like, whoa, it's like try and have a problem, you know? It's like everyone choosing this has created such a huge difference in the world, and it's like I am just so incredibly grateful for this. And myself included have resisted so many of the tools and tried to control how things show up or conclude. I am the conclusionist queen of the world. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, going to a conclusion of how your life is going to be and trying to predict it doesn't work. It's like if you're willing to go, right, I'm done, and literally wake up in the morning, and some of the tools I've started using for the past few years, especially before I even get out of bed, like put my hands on my body somewhere and I ask, what would it take for today to be greater than yesterday? Like, this is not rocket science. It's literally being in question. And I know our whole entire lives, we're never really taught to ask questions. We're taught to have the answer, work it out, conclude, you know, try and control how something shows up, etc. Well, I know that's what I was choosing for a very long time. And what if it's easier than that? I mean, the mantra of access is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And that includes everything. It includes your money flows. It includes your business, your bodies, your relationships. I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day about relationships, and they were saying how they knew that they had a point of view about their relationship. And yet they knew they were also creating that point of view about the relationship. Same thing with business or money. When you get stuck and anytime you have this fixed point of view, you create this finite reality, and you start to shrink, and it's like these judgments filled with judgments, conclusions, like limitations, etc., rather than, you know what, I'm done. I'm actually going to destroy and uncreate everything that I've ever decided about this, all the fixed points of view that I have, all the judgments. Like, please stop judging you and stop judging what you've been creating, because you are way more brilliant than what you've been willing to acknowledge. And one of the things that I've noticed through a lot of the interviews and different videos that people sent in, it's so awesome to hear them from everyone too, by the way, like, thank you, and how they thought they were fucked up. And one of the first things that I ever heard, the first Choice of Possibilities class, which is one of the more advanced classes that I ever went to with Gary Douglas, I didn't hear a thing. Like, we got this manual, and I remember sitting there and he said, you are not as fucked up as you think you are. And I went, oh, I'm going to that, you know, and I got my pen and I wrote it down in my manual. And I was like, okay, I'm not as fucked up as I think I am. And I remember at the end of the class, I just walked up to him and hugged him and was like, thank you. And he looked at me and he went, what for? And I was like, everything, but I couldn't explain it. It was just like this. So access consciousness is so not linear. It's not logical. I mean, if you could work everything out with your logical mind, you'd have everything you ever desired. It's so much about pressing that delete button and getting rid of all the different crap that you have and knowing that there's a different possibility. One of the things that's always driven me, and again, I get this as leading into, you know, creating the future, is the planet. Like I told you, I wrote this huge piece on vulnerability years ago because it didn't make sense to me. I was like, I don't get why people have this resistance to each other and this constant state of separation. I mean, you look at the world at the moment, and, you know, the one thing I really don't like about what's occurring at the moment is the segregation. I'm not looking to judge what anyone's choosing. I'm not looking for someone to judge me either. It's like, what if we truly all had choice for how it is that we would like to live our lives? Having that, I just lost where I was going. But anyway, but creating the future, that's right. Creating the future is when Access showed up and when Gary and Dain showed up, it matched the energy of what I was asking for and was like, okay, choose that. And for me, the planet, I mean, I've got all these trees outside and all these birds. It's like the planet and the earth has always been driven me to choose something. I was like, what is this? And driven me to choose something greater and choose something more, knowing that this couldn't be it. Like the reality I was growing up in, the reality with, you know, I mean, someone telling me that school was the best years of my life, and I was like, wow, are you kidding me? If this is the best years of my life, then this totally sucks, because I did not like school, you know. I was like, there's got to be something else, you know. And then you go to school and it's supposed to, you know, go to college and university, etc. And I took off and I went overseas, told everyone I was going for 6 months, and I ended up staying for 3 years, and just kept discovering, like, people, the planet, the land, cultures, everything. And everywhere I went, it was like, it didn't matter how much money people had, what the color of their skin was, you know, man, female, you know, married, single, etc. I just saw this trauma and drama around me, and this anger, like suppressed anger, sadness, all of that. And it never made sense to me. It was like, there has to be something else. There has to be something else. And can I say, if you're here and you're watching this, whether it's now live or in the future, you know that there's something else. You know that there's something else. So when Access showed up, I was just like, holy shit, this is what I've been asking for. And one of the things that Gary said in the first seminar I ever heard him talk about was, he said, don't trust me, trust you. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, not somebody trying to tell me that if I didn't do what they were doing or buy what they had for sale or something, then my life was completely and totally, utterly destroyed. He was like, no, you are the only one that knows. And you are the only one that knows. You are the only one that knows what you would like, what you can choose to create your future. And I get not many people have even asked you what it is you would like to create as your future. So what if that was your platform now? What if you actually started asking yourself what works for you? Not what works for your family, not what works for your, you know, lovers, husband, wife, friends. I mean, most people spend their entire life trying to be liked by people or be like them. Well, what if it was time to give that up? What if you no longer seeked that? And what if you actually seeked you? Because each and every one of us is so incredibly different, and every single one of you has something different to offer to the world and to more consciousness showing up on the planet. And I'm just so like, this whole day has just been amazing listening to everyone and getting to hear their stories and I guess see them in a different way as well. And I can't wait to see so many of you guys around the world. My demand absolutely is that, you know, the travel around the world is way more easier. Ease, joy, and glory. And we get to create our future by our choices, okay? There is no normal. There's no back to normal. There's a future. Oh, and I had this conversation the other day with our friend, Dr. Dain Heer. And we were talking about the future and making choices to create a future. And acknowledging the choices that we had made, that Gary had made, that created a future. Like if I look at a lot of the places that we've had, like, you know, El Lugar in Costa Rica, the castle in Italy, it's like all the different countries that we are in, all the different choices that we've made. And I was lying on my couch and I'm talking to Dain and we were talking about the future and I went, I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, wow, I just got really turned on. And then we started talking about the future in a bigger way. And I was like, I just got really like turned on to a degree that is not usually sitting on the couch having a conversation, you know. And I was like, how much is the future trying to turn us on? And like, will you let the future turn you on so that you can be absolutely everything you can be with no judgment, no point of view? It's like, let's go. So I know that I've got to finish up soon. I've been given my marching orders, but thank you so much again to all of you guys. And I wanted to just finish off with this, if I'm not going to cry. This. I know that they mentioned it earlier. Crap. If you go check out the website that Megan and a whole bunch of people created it pretty much overnight, which I'm so grateful for. It's called, I hope I don't get this wrong, The Place Movie, I think it's called, theplacemovie.com. I'm sure we'll have it. This book is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, look how worn and torn it is. And on the front of it, crap, I don't want to cry. It says, what you have been seeking
that you always knew was possible. And I would really like to make, like Dain mentioned before, about hopes and dreams. And, you know, that's one of the bars, hopes and dreams. Like, and we make this big joke out of it by saying, you know, world peace, get your hopes and dreams bars run, sort of thing. And the way Dain spoke about it earlier was, what if we could reignite our hopes and dreams and actualize them? Like, your dreams aren't going to come true unless you keep taking some action and choosing that. This is one of the things that I would really love to get out there. I mean, you thought Avatar was good? Mamma mia, this, brilliant. And I'm just going to tell you a really short story, is when we were traveling once and we were in this hotel room and Gary was writing the book, and he said to me and Dain, can I read to you what I've written? He said, can I read to you what I've written? We were like, sure. So he's like, blah, 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 blah. If you haven't noticed, Gary reads really fast. And he looks up, and Dain and I are sitting there on the bed just bawling, like crying. And he looks at us and goes, is it bad? We were like, no, it's not bad. It's brilliant. It's everything that I have ever desired the planet to be. And here's the thing about access consciousness, and that I always notice, we're not talking about anything that you don't already know. Like, every time, and the weirder it gets, I'm like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, you know, like, you freaking know. So everything in this book, I was like, no, this is the way you should be in relationships. This is the way you should be with the planet. This is the way you should be with each other. This is the communion, like, not, and I grew up a Catholic, not take communion, like, this is the communion that we can be together. It's like, it's beyond this reality. And like I said before, I mean, this reality, I was like, are you serious? This reality, and it's not about resisting this reality either. You include this reality, but choose yours. And that's the future that I know is possible for all of us. So if you go check this out, please, I would love any contributions that you can give to this as well. And because I would like to see this movie out and in the world, because it will be a major contribution. So, and if you don't already know, the property we have in Costa Rica is called El Lugar, which is Spanish for the place. And that will be open. Well, I think you can start to go there mid this year. I'm sure we'll let you know. And it's, you know, I've never been to a property where the land is so amazing, and then when they start building, it actually contributes to the land as well. It's being in communion. It's the place, okay? So check it out, please. Anything, even $10, $100, $10,000, $100,000, anything that you can contribute to getting that movie out there, I'd be super grateful. You know, if you're grateful for access, it's, you know, whatever. I don't want it to sound like a sales pitch, because I just would really like it to get out there in the world. And that's the future that I'd like to see and have and create. Oh, I think I nailed it again. 11:30 on the dot. Damn, I'm good. All right. Usually I would just talk over, but it's time for me to go, ladies and gentlemen, and back over to Emily and Dain. And actually, we've got a video playing now that is about creating the future with Gary and Dain. So there you go. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Qual è una cosa che è cambiata nella tua vita da quando ricevi Bugs?
Lo spazio che ho nella mia realtà.
So the future of access consciousness, in my estimation, is we're in 176 countries right now. Did we advertise in those countries? No. Did people find us somewhere? Yes. Do we know how? No. Not a clue. But they come up, they come from everywhere, and they find us. And it's like, it's this miracle of people realizing that they need to be empowered. They need to know that they know. And they need to be willing to listen to what they're aware of, not buy the falderall of the rest of the world.
And also recognizing that that actually exists.
Yeah.
And Access is actually a place where they can find somebody that empowers them to know that they know, and to give them tools to follow that knowing. And also, there's so many people that are waking up to the awareness that what we see around us as reality is not all there is and not all there has to be. And with so many changes going on in the world, people are recognizing that the status quo doesn't work. And so they're seeking something else.
It doesn't work?
Oh, update?
Yeah.
The status quo doesn't work.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
What
You're
am
welcome.
I going to do now?
I know. How am I going to stay in the same spot now and make it okay?
Thank God I've got a bed I can go to.
So this is about the exploration of what else is possible. And what else is possible beyond old realities and old ways of doing things. And what else is possible that actually works for you and works for us as a planet and works for us as a world full of people. And, you know, consciousness and oneness are synonymous. And we have a definition of consciousness in Access Consciousness, which is where everyone and everything exists and no one and nothing is judged.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who truly desire that, and they see so much of the fight and the separation and the angst that is going on in the world.
And the anger.
And the anger, and the upset, and the resentment, and they would like something different. And what really is thrilling to me is, like, the last class I facilitated had 53 countries represented. There were people from 53 different countries in that class. And no matter what the conversation was, you'd tell that it was being received by all of those people. And there was no separation based on color, religion, creed, sexual orientation, or anything else. It was about the oneness. It was about us together moving forward to create something greater.
Possibilities. And it's like that's the thing we're asking for, is people to be able to live from possibility instead of from limitation, and instead of them feeling that they can't. How can we? Being the question of how can we do this, not how we can't do this. How can we do this? How can we change this? What is really possible? And, you know, the world needs to change, and we all kind of know it. So let's have the change go in a way in which it's about the consciousness that includes everyone and judges nothing. Different possibilities there. And I think we're creating it, and this is where I see Access going.
And what we are seeing and what we would like to see more of is a movement from impossible to I'm possible. And I'm willing to embrace possibilities rather than be stuck with what doesn't work. And I gotta say, thank you. Really. Because everything else I'd ever done was about the person who created it being the valuable product and everybody else was less than them. And when I came along, and I have seen this with you and with me, with hundreds, thousands of people, but when I came along, you looked to see what I uniquely could do and be.
Yeah.
That was something that I didn't even know had any value. And you perceived it energetically and did everything you could to get me to actually awaken it. And without you doing that and being that, I would not be where I am, and I would not be who I am.
And I'm glad you are who you are and where you are.
And I thank
Grateful
you for
you
that.
every day of my life.
That is mutual, my great friend.
Thank you.
So mutual, every friggin' day.
Well, that intro says it all. We're going to end the day with an exploration of the universe with Dr. Dain.
Thank you, Miss Emily. Before that, this has been said so many times today, but I have to express my gratitude for the amazing people that put this on and the amazing people we get to live our lives with as a result of Gary's choice to create Access in the first place. And I see my friends talking and listen to their level of eloquence and brilliance, and this is a sincere invitation for more, and it just melts my world. That is the world I would like to see. That is the world, not just that I would like to see, which I have had the sense of for a long time. That is the world that is now going to be. Does that make you lighter when I say it?
Yes.
Me too. You know what? Enough acting like the underdog, enough believing that what you know can't come true. You've seen hundreds of people today that are proof that it can come true. Now, if you ask them, is your life perfect? They go, no. Why? Because it's not about being perfect. It's about there is always more. There is always more. No matter how happy you get, there's more. No matter how conscious you get, there's more. No matter how much money you have, there's more. No matter how much of you have, there's more. And that is the beautiful part about it. It makes sure you'll never get bored on the journey. Like, ever get bored on the journey. And today has been such a phenomenal space, a phenomenal invitation. I'm so grateful to be part of this. And also, I truly have to thank Emily, Brett, and Georgia especially, though there were many, 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 many other people who contributed to this. But they spent hours upon hours upon hours. Georgia learned to edit videos. Like, what the, hello, new skill, new marketable skill, you know? So good. And Miss Emily, Danielle, who was supposed to run the switchboard, was sick. So, not this Emily.
Different Emily.
The other Emily.
It's confusing.
There's another Emily over there. We're like filled with Emilys. It's great. Just you could throw a rock in Access and hit an Emily is how it works, basically. But Brett spent an entire day training her on how to run this thing because she's never done it before. She's part of our tech team, but Danielle was sick and she was the only one. Our two guys could not come here from Mexico to do it, but that's our people. People will step in to contribute anywhere they freaking can. And sometimes it's a big inconvenience, but they do it anyway because the target is so much bigger than anything else. And it's so desired by all of us. And I thank you all for, whether you're dipping your toe in today or just decided to dive in the deep end, thank you. Really, thank you for being here. And for you guys who've been here all day in the room, thank you. What a great pleasure it is to have you in person. Yay, you. So cool. And for you guys online who've been here all day, thank you also. Woo. I'm just really touched and perceive a space of possibilities that is starting to go from possibility, where you have that sense of a space of possibilities, that is actually starting to coalesce and aggregate and begin to actualize. It's beginning to become reality. That is because of all of us. And the funny part is you have no idea what choices you've made that are contributing to that. But pretty much every choice you make for more lightness, desiring more, is what contributes to that. So 21 years ago, I was blessed with opening up something called ESB, Energetic Synthesis of Being. Gary walked into my office after my first foundation class, and he basically wanted stuff I could not provide. And he said, look, ask my body what it wants, follow the energy, you will know what to do. First person in my life that ever said I would know what to do, especially the first person who had ever created an entire body of work. All of those people told me, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, do it my way, do it this way, do it this way. And Gary said, you will know what to do. And I was like, oh, shit. And at the same time, I was like, oh, yeah. And they were living together in my world. And there was this energy that came through that blew me the fuck away. I was in the presence of something that was so beautiful that I had no idea what it was, had no idea what it could do, had no idea why the hell I was the one accessing it. And it's become what I now call ESB, that is, by extension, something called SOP, Symphony of Possibilities. But I started working on people energetically and seeing things change on a level that blew me away. It was what I always wanted to create. It's why I became a chiropractor in the first place. I wanted to create friggin' miracles. I wanted to see people have access to them. And with this first session, it actually happened, and I went, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if I can do it on someone else. You know, because I'd done it on Gary, and lo and behold, the next person I worked on, it blew their universe apart, and I was like, wow, thank you, universe. Whatever provided this, I am so grateful, and I will shepherd it to the best of my ability. I will be its person here. Just show me the way, show me what to do. And so anyway, 21 years later, been a lot of people who have received some part of this, and now for the last, I don't know, 8 years, we've had 7 years, 6 years, we've had something called SOP, which is where people do this their way. They do their thing. Anyway, so my question to you is, and one of the things I love about this, you know, as I'm talking, I would really like it if we could give the translators around the world a hand, please. Thank you guys so much. Another group of people who are like, yep, we'll do it. How long do I have to work? Okay, no problem. I'll have a lot of Coke and water on hand. And maybe sexual favors provided later. Those will be on tap after. Anyway, this year, what if 22 could be different? 2020, I keep calling it 22. Does anybody else do that? Am I the only one that's like, all right, hey, welcome to 22? Like, Dain, you're about 2,000 years early, bro. Or late. What if 2022 could be different? And that is my question to you. What is it you have perceived? What is it you've seen? What is it you've received today that goes way beyond words, but is a sense of possibility that you, like I, have probably always hoped could exist? This shit is real, kids. Actually, it's non-real, okay? It doesn't require anybody else's alignment and agreement. It doesn't require anybody else to get it for you to have it. Go in the direction of that lightness, please. And have you seen anything today that inspired you for, yes, I would like that as my life, I would like that as our world? Ask for it right now, please. Okay? Yes? Yes. Now, cool. And let all of the things you perceived today that opened up your world, let those be present and allow yourself to have even more of whatever it is. And be willing to receive whatever will contribute to that, okay? That's what this session is actually about. This session is actually about creating a future, a different future, a future that has all of the elements of possibility you perceived today, and before and after today, okay? The way this works is no way I can begin to describe or explain. It's basically where quantum physics meets miracles, as far as I can tell. It's like if quantum physics and miracles had a conscious baby, ESB would be it, okay? So what I'm gonna ask you to do, some of you may receive more if you close your eyes. Some of you will be thinking your entire way through this thing, which is really funny because you think that your thinking will determine what you can keep out so you don't have to receive too much, so you don't have to change too much, so you can be in control of your life still. But while you're thinking, ESB is going underneath your brain going, ha, I'm sneaking in the back door anyway, nanny, nanny, nanny. I love it. There's so much space in this room and around the world right now that you notice, I don't know if you did hear me speak today when I mentioned when you get to a spaciness where a lot of people kind of go, oh, let me figure something else out. Let me solidify something. Well, that spaciness is here, okay? For me, though, with this, it can actually use it even more because when you have that spaciness, there's even more that can actually be contributed to you. There will be periods of this where I do not talk. It's one of the ways you know it must be miraculous. Because if I'm not talking, there's either something wrong or a miracle going on. Meme. Okay. Just ponder for a moment if you walked in step with the whole universe. If the universe were one of your greatest friends and allies and contributors. As an infinite being that is what is, for you are the universe. Which means all of your normal human stuff doesn't have to be normal or human ever again. Today we have punched a hole in the fabric of reality. What do you say we tear the fucker apart? And the funny part is it is your gentleness, your non-fight, but your intense request of the universe and demand for something greater. If this reality had us pointing down a path that is that direction, how about if instead we go this way? Let's go together. Let's have more fun than anybody is supposed to. And if you're somewhere in China right now wondering, Jesus Christ, what is this energy? There is no distance in consciousness, my beautiful friends. The way you kill this reality is by ignoring it and creating beyond it. This reality is not bad and wrong, it's just not yours. You don't need to fight it. And the less you fight it, the more you will have of you and what is actually possible that you've never considered could be. It's designed to give you more space of you, whatever that is. Some people have the stream on right now and they've fallen asleep and they're having the weirdest fucking dreams they've ever had. And this is not me doing anything to you. Except contributing something that you have the total freedom to choose or not. In fact, this is where your choice awakens. It's where your choice begins. So be it. There is a lot more available than you've ever imagined, my beautiful friends. Part of my target is to make bullshit less relevant for you, and space and possibilities far more accessible, far faster than it would have occurred. The miracles will find you if you will let them. Just ask every day, universe, show me something beautiful and miraculous. For things you want to change and don't know how. I'm asking for a miracle with this, please. Not to put that outside of you, but the ability to request and actualize a miracle is a dynamic capacity. It's like the lady in the Deadpool 2 movie who has, when they ask, what is your superpower? She says, luck. I don't think that's a superpower. Oh, yeah, it is. And she's the one who survives and thrives and also makes sure everybody else doesn't die. It's kind of like you, except you don't want to know it. You want to think other people will be that for you. They won't. Unless you are willing to be it for you. And then there's a 22.7897% chance that they will. Now, some of you don't believe you get energy. I totally get that. You may or may not feel anything. I used to think I didn't get energy. Up to the moment where this thing called ESB kicked my ass. Most people who think they don't get energy, it's because they've experienced so much and so intensely, they decided it was overwhelming. They decided they had to shut it down, so they put up walls around them to try to not experience what they decided was too painful or too harsh. Everything that is for you that keeps you from accessing the space of the energetic being you truly be, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Now is the space, my beautiful friends. The beginning in the doorway to actualize something that has truly never existed before in any way we can recognize. Something in which your hopes and dreams are gifts that propel you forward to those things you can create. I do need to ask, will you let me in, please? Will you let me in more? Will you let this in more? It's not really letting me in, but it is. In actuality, it's letting you in. I promise whatever you find, if you let you in and let this in, will only make your life greater. I don't promise very often, but that I can and will. Such a harsh world we live in, my beautiful friends. But you are not. And sources of nurturance and sustenance and the gentleness and kindness you crave are all around. Please ask for them. Please ask for more kindness, more gentleness, more contribution, more receiving, more joy, more space, more space, more space, more space, more space for all of us. On 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 12. And if you don't know what that is, go to a foundation class, you'll find out. Interestingly, in Access, we actually believe in miracles. Which is basically something that occurs without us understanding how or why. That is what occurs when you be you. Now is the space, my beautiful friends, for opening a door that has never been opened before. Not of significance, but of possibilities. And if you're falling asleep, please fall asleep. It is your body's attempt to get you out of the way of it receiving. Good body. Let me put it this way also. The worst thing that will happen during this is nothing. So if you don't believe in all this energetic woo-woo shit, I don't blame you. I didn't either. So you can just be entertained by watching me be an idiot on stage. I close my eyes so I don't see your mocking glances. A few months ago, I got over not being willing to be as weird as I actually am. I know that sounds weird. See what I did there? I would do something like this and try to make it seem normal. No more. People get it or they don't, and it doesn't matter. Because those who get it are creating enough change to where those who don't get it aren't able to stop it anymore. And it's not about getting it, like, hey, I believe in what you're doing. That's not the getting it I'm talking about. The getting it is the getting that there's something else to be gotten. I'm sure the translators are loving me right now. They're like, dude. If you see a translator in a puddle near you, please run their bars. Just put your hands in the general direction of where their head used to be and see if you can unpuddle them. I know I'm weird. The original meaning of weird was of spirit, fate, or destiny. I used to care that I was weird and care what people thought about me. And I realized if I do that, I'm limiting every moment of my life to validate somebody else's judgment. And I'm inherently saying that their judgment of me is more valuable to me than my enjoyment of being me. What if 2022 is the year of fuck it? The year of I have no more fucks to give about your fucking judgments of me. Love me, hate me, judge me, your choice. Feel free to lead, feel free to follow, but get the fuck out of my way. The only request I have of you is please notice what is different in the next couple of weeks and months. And set an alarm or reminder for 5 or 6 months from now, if you would, please. And write on that, what the fuck happened after Global Bars Day? And just see. And write down your list of wows. Your list of, when you get to 2023, at least 10 things. 10 things that if you had them when you got to 2023, you'd be like, wow! Wow! Oh, that's better. That was a lot better. That was much more fun level of energy. How about you? How much have you been suppressing, depressing, repressing, all those pressings on you and the energy and everything you have available? Everything that is, we destroyed and created on 3. 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. You are no longer alone, my beautiful friends. You are no longer alone. You are no longer the only weirdo of your kind. Trust me, I know people weirder than you. Now is the space, my beautiful friends. Now is the space. Will you please now give up everywhere you decided that being normal would create what you desired in life? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. What magic and miraculousness awaits you just in the next 12 months. Anybody willing to kill the COVID Gestapo now? On 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12! Gee, I hope there's not a church group next door. We are the church group, thank you. You have the ability to melt anything. We're taught by this reality that force is necessary to create massive change. There's a difference between force and potency. And potency has a resoluteness and is the ability to change anything very, very seldom even approaching anything that looks like force. And you are willing to be the most aware 500-pound gorilla in the room. It's surprising and amazing how the rest of the room turns itself to match your awareness of what is possible. You've been pretending to be less than you know you are. You've been pretending to be less than others, especially those who judge and who use force and violence. The space is now, my beautiful friends, for that which you know to be, that which is beyond reality to be, that which is a non-reality reality, that is who and what and how you truly can be. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. I'd like to call upon your knowing to awaken within you. Your knowing. It's not a function of me or anyone else. It's a function of what you be. We'd like to call upon your perceiving, your receiving, your being, your infiniteness and infinite space, and the infinite communion you have as the space between every molecule, and the communion you share with the molecules of the entire universe. It is only the people on this planet that do not share in the communion. They do not share because they refuse. They do not share because they separate. They do not share because their sense of the need of personal space keeps them from the gift of being the space of the universe. Every other creature in the universe knows, functions as and from the oneness of its interconnection with all things. Therefore, it knows what it is. It knows who it is. And it is also continuously exploring more. That knowing is not a definition that contracts and constricts. That knowing is an awareness that elevates and expands and creates a sense of communion and connection with the entire universe. Will you, if you desire, ask for that now, please? Even though you probably lost me at molecule. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Translators are like, Dain said some profound shit in English. Molecule, space, universe, choose. And lastly, I invite the lightness to your life and living. A lightness you may not have valued or understood or known could even be possible for you, let alone something that would be the jumping off point to create more than your wildest dreams would allow. Now is the space, my beautiful friends. May the lightness also be yours. So be it. Oh. Hello. How you doing? Some people are like, I just watch a guy close his eyes and do weird shit. I don't usually close my eyes during these sessions. That's not usually a thing. Everyone is what it is. Oh my God, we have a Karen online. That's so good. A Chinese Karen. So good. How are you guys?
Phenomenal.
Well, I hope that contributed.
Yes.
Wow.
I could think of no better way to end Global Bars Day.
Awesome. Wow. Wow. Thank you for going on that journey. And if you're like, what journey did we just go on? You went on the journey. That's it. You're like, where the fuck? Who? You become part of that famous Indian tribe, the Fakawi, you know, where you're like, who the fuck are we? Yeah, I was going on the journey. Wow. This is kind of like nuclear radiation. You can't really be in its presence and not be affected by it. It's just kind of the way it works. And I do also acknowledge there are so many people who have been invalidated for their energetic capacities, or they've done stuff that said it was about energy and it was really about significance. And so I'm always aware of that also. And then certain people who've lived their lives avoiding anything that had to do with energy because mom and dad did and blah, blah, blah. So there's so many layers of this, of ways in which we have of trying to fit ourselves into a normal box that isn't actually our box, but that also keeps us from the awareness of the subtle energetic connection we have with everything, and the awareness that will allow us to actualize everything. So I'm hoping a lot of that changes for you in the next year, both with today, but also with what we just did. Set that alarm for 6 months in the future and just see what changed. It's interesting, I've done that before, and I'm like, and the thing the alarm comes up about, I'm like, what is that? What did I do? You know, and then I go, oh, and I'm like, oh. It always amazes me how much can change in that amount of time. Now, more than ever. Part of what has been going on around the world is an attempt to slow things down. You know what I say to that? Fuck it. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dain. We want to bring everybody up on stage who contributed to say thank you to everybody. So
all of you who
guys who
contributed.
were, you know who you are.
You
Brett,
all.
I don't know if
you.
Emily can leave the switchboard. Georgia, Brendan, Julia, Sarah, everyone, all you guys. And I know it's so many more. The website editor, amazing wizard teams, what they've done, the customer service that's been online all day for everybody. The people, just thank you guys. But we just wanted to say thank you as a thank you.
I want to acknowledge all these beautiful people. These are the ones in the room. It's like a chorus line.
It is.
Like a chorus line of consciousness. Whoa.
Thank you all. Thank everybody here. Thank you guys online. Thank everyone for coming live. All the people in the events around the world who've gotten together to run bars. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, Gary Douglas, for Access Bars and Access Consciousness.
Awesome! Bye-bye! Yay! Finally! 2022 is kicking off!
Oh, thank you guys.
Yay!
Give it a minute, just because for the lag. How do I change the text? There. There. There we go. Yay. Fuck it, right? Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. Thank you.
You know, there's that thing in the office, like the suck it. Now as we take out a bucket and we fuck it. So take out the suck it.
Oh, fuck it.
Fuck it.
Enjoy tonight.